Good morning, world. Today I am coming to you from Malacca, Malaysia. It is coming up on 9:30 on a Sunday morning, and you can see it is very busy already, and I believe it only gets more so for the next hour or two. So come in the morning because it's a bit cooler, but expect to have a lot of company. Most things in this center are pretty close together. Behind me is the Independence Memorial. Over this way is the Sultan's Palace Museum. Of course, you have here the Famosa gate, and then up the hill behind me is a St. Paul's, which is where we're going to go visit next. Now, one thing you will want to note is that cars can't come directly into this area. They come pretty close, but they can't come right all the way up here. And more significantly, there are stairs. I don't believe there's a way to get all the way to the top without traversing the stairs, but I'll check it out while we're up there and let you know. So if stairs are difficult for you, you might want to skip St. Paul's. One of the things that St. Paul's Church is most famous for in Malacca today is the panoramic view over the city. What's particularly interesting about it is that this church and the fort that was enclosing it used to be on the ocean. In the 1980s, Malacca began a land reclamation project, and so now Malacca extends far beyond its previous boundaries. This statue in front of St. Paul's Church is not actually of St. Paul, but instead of St. Francis Xavier. It was busy when I got here, but now it is downright crowded. There are tour groups, there are school groups, there are families practicing their jump photos. There's a lot of us here trying to enjoy this place. It is gorgeous. It's a beautiful church. And apparently it is the oldest church in Southeast Asia. So that's pretty remarkable. It's much bigger than I thought it was. And it's beautiful. I'm gonna have to come back, I think, like first thing in the morning sometime or something, and try and experience it with a few less people for company. St. Paul's Church was originally Our Lady of the Hill, and the reason that St. Francis Xavier is shown outside the church rather than St. Paul is that St. Francis Xavier apparently came here and stayed here in this church in 1540 something or another. So that's why he is venerated here. I think that they even said that his body lay here for some time before being transferred to a church memorial. If you have any choice in when you come to Malacca, I would strongly advise that you skip the weekends. It is very crowded here, which, you know, half of the course, but if you have the option to pick a different day of the week, go ahead and pick a different day of the week. And just a quick update on the step situation. I do not see any way to get up here without taking the steps, and the ground is a little uneven where the stones are still in place from the church. So if you have mobility issues, maybe skip this one. But it is beautiful, so if you can make it up here, it's definitely worth checking out. Just don't come on the weekend. What goes up must come down. So I am heading back down the stairs and I'm gonna go check out how much it is to go into the Sultan's Museum. I think I could have gone down, or I saw that I could have gone down the other side of the hill, which I think maybe takes you to Dutch Square or Red Square. I'll see if I can figure that out for you. But I wanted to come back down this way and see what the deal is with that museum. Entry to the museum is 20 ringgit for foreign adults, 10 for foreign kids. I am absolutely going to come and check it out, but I think I'm going to do it another day when I've got more time to dedicate just to that museum. This is a replica of what they believe from descriptions and historical information that the palace of the Sultan would have looked like here in Malacca in about 1456. So they have a number of rooms showing what the palace, how the palace would have been decorated, what the rooms would have been used for. You can see, even from the exterior, that it's really beautiful. So check back and I'll come and I'll show you a tour of the Palace Museum. But if you're also short for time, just coming to have a look at the exterior is worth doing as well. The Palace Museum was built using traditional techniques, which mean there are no nails used in the construction. Not a nail used anywhere, I think. Certainly not in the structure of the building. While you will need a ticket to visit the museum, you don't need a ticket to visit the Forbidden Garden. I am going to walk along Jalan Kota, which at least on the weekends, if not all the time, is blocked off to car traffic. Motorbikes do still come through. And of course those, what are they, tricycles or something? Those very highly decorated, very noisy carriages that can take you around Melaka come through here as well. So if you want to minimize your walking, they might be the way to go. You might want to ask them to turn down the music though. Can I admit that I kind of love them? I think maybe next week's video might need to be riding around on one of those. Let's see how we go. All right, we have made it to Santiago Bastion. So this was one of the bastions of the fort. There's not a lot remaining, but it's just across the road from Famosa, so worth coming to have a look while you're walking around. Santiago Bastion was rediscovered in 2002 when they were undergoing construction for a new building that was then changed to preserve this historic site. This bastion, just 30 meters from the gate, was on the Strait of Malacca before the land reclamation project, which I misstated the date for. It was actually that land reclamation project started in this area in about 1930, so almost 100 years ago. And this whole stretch is just dotted with museums. They are all about 20 ringgit each, which is only about $5. But if you're wanting to go to all of them, and I have to have counted at least 10 so far, that could make for an expensive day. So I'm gonna do a bit more research, find out which ones are supposed to be the best, and those are the ones we'll go check out together. Interestingly, the site of Santiago Bastion is also the site, the actual point where independence was proclaimed 45 years before they refound the site. So a lot of history right here in this spot. You can see how the walls were circular. And all that was ocean. Now I think it's a mall. I stand corrected. The Malay and Islamic World Museum is only 10 ringgit for adults. Hey there, buddy. What are you protecting? Behind me is the Enduring Beauty Museum, which is also 10 ringgit for foreign adults. Opposite the Enduring Beauty Museum is a small park with a large plane and some train carriages. There's also a little bit of the fortress. Here too is another bastion of the fort. This one is Bastion Mauritius. The fort itself was destroyed primarily by the British. Now, if you're wondering why the British would ruin a perfectly good fort, turns out that during one of the European wars, the Dutch had to cede Malacca temporarily to the British, but they had an agreement that then the British would give it back to the Dutch. However, when it came time to hand it over, the British didn't want Malacca to remain a major trading port, so they destroyed the fort, making it less appealing to the Dutch to use, because the British wanted to move trading to Singapore and Penang. I believe both Singapore and Penang. So thanks to the British for destroying what would have been a pretty amazing historical site. Oh look, it's another museum. And another museum. And another museum. And another museum. Right across from those museums, though, is another part of the fort and a children's playground. The gorgeous building behind me now houses the Malacca Islam Museum. Let's go find out what it originally was. And it was the old Islamic Council building here in Malacca. They believe it was built in the 1850s. So behind me are the main stairs leading up to St. Paul's. So if you're coming from Red Square, you could come up this way, or when you finish at St. Paul's, you could come down those stairs, bypass those museums that were dotted along there if you're not in the market for museums, and head on around to Red Square, aka Dutch Square. Another museum. This one's an architecture museum. Behind me is Bastion Middleberg, which is the only reconstructed bastion here in Malacca. So they believe this one was started by the Portuguese, but built upon by the Dutch, and they've found the original stones and put them back together and added some cannons. We have arrived at Dutch Square, also known as Red Square, which has to be the most photographed location in Malacca. Obviously for its iconic, vibrant colouring. Dutch Square is so named because it was constructed mostly by the Dutch, using bricks that they'd actually brought all the way from Holland, which were apparently used as ballast in the ship to weigh it down when they traveled here. And then of course once they came here, they filled their holds with valuable cargo and took that back. So the bricks that they brought over from Europe were used then in the construction here. So here you've got the iconic church, you've got the Stadthuys, which was like the council house, which is another museum. The church is open. They even still have Sunday service here. So you can go and attend a service there. It is less ornate on the inside than it is on the outside. So I'll throw up a picture of the inside for you here. Honestly, you're probably just coming here to take some pictures. Though I have heard that actually the museum that's housed here in the Stadthuys is one of the best in Malacca. So amongst the dozens that are here, I've heard that this one and the Baba and Nyonya Museum are two of the absolute best. So those ones I think I'm going to try and do a tour of. What else? Oh yes, and that's the Sultan Museum, the Sultan's Palace Museum, that one also. So if you can only pick 3 museums, I hear those are the 3 to pick. All right, so that's it for my little Dutch slash Portuguese slash all of the other history of Malacca tour. I'm gonna go get some lunch. Come along with me. We'll talk some more there. All right, so for lunch, I'm gonna cross the river. I'm gonna walk just to the top of Donker Street and bypass it and go to a little restaurant that is in a back street and has delicious food. So come along with me. One thing of note about Malacca is that it can get really windy. Like, hold your hat windy. So hold on to your hats. Behind me is the beginning of Jonker Walk, which I made a video about last week. Make sure you check that one out. One thing of note, if you carry a reusable water bottle, is that there is a refill station at the tourist police station just off to the side of the start of Jonker Street. This spot is quite interesting too, but probably not much seen because it lies off the main streets. The house behind me is on stilts because it used to be right next to the ocean. Now it's nowhere near the ocean, but it's still on stilts and there's actually still water under it and fishing and a cat who knows what that's about. Aha, so I didn't pull the 1980s reclamation project from nowhere. This place is no longer by the sea because of the 1980s reclamation project. The Bastion from a 1930s reclamation project. So obviously they've been going on for a very long time. This place is so good. I've said before, but I don't think Malaysia makes bad food. Like everything in Malaysia is delicious. But this place in particular is fantastic. And their setup is that you pay per scoop. So a scoop of rice is 1 ringgit, and then a scoop of like the curries and vegetables is 2 ringgit each. So I got 2 scoops of rice and 3 scoops of the like dishes. So that 1 of greens, 1 of rendang, and 1 of this bean curd. So I think this whole plate's going to come to 8 ringgit. We'll see. Plus, food is free. Now, I've never tried it here, this bean curd dish here, but I think I had something similar in Ipoh. That was my favorite thing ever. So, let's go. Delicious. And then that one's like a rundown. And then these ones are greens. I think they're sweet potato greens. Tell me if I'm wrong. Get any on a spoon. Malaysia might have the best food on it. I'm going to leave you here while I finish my delicious lunch. Thank you so much for watching. And never forget, the world is wide enough for all of us.